Hey there, YouTube family! Welcome back to a brand new painting lesson. Today, we are actually going to go back to a series that really kind of started it all for this channel. If you've been following for a while, you know that this channel is really built on a series called 10-minute paintings, where I would challenge myself to do an acrylic painting in 10 minutes. And it's something I really enjoyed. I did 93 of them, but I haven't done them in about 9 months, and I kind of ran out of ideas. And I wanted to take a break, that way when I came back to it, I knew that I was passionate about it and what I was doing was good work. So today, we are going to kind of jump back into that. I'm really excited about it. I've kind of reorganized the studio in celebration. As you can see, we finally have some paintings up on the wall. But I'm changing some things. So firstly, I've added a second camera to the setup. So now, for the first time during these lessons, you can also see my color palette, my mixing when I'm grabbing water, all of that. It makes it significantly more difficult in the editing process, but I think it makes for much better videos, and I think you'll learn a lot more through it. The second change I'd like to make is, in the past, when I was doing this, I would make maybe 3 or 4 10-minute paintings a week, and then I'd upload the best one, the best version. This time, I'd like to change that. I'd like to do one. I'd like to upload whatever it is, and I'd like it to be a real challenge. Like, here's the 10-minute time limit. I have to show you whatever I make, and then after that 10 minutes, maybe we can touch it up, maybe we can fix it, maybe we can change it, but I want to give it that energy again. I almost forgot there is a third update. I actually just made a video documenting all of my materials in detail. You get to see them, I talk about why I use them, and I made this video so essentially at the start of each and every video, I don't have to talk about it and it doesn't get repetitive for you or me. So if you're interested in seeing all of the materials in detail, there is a video linked in the description. With that, it will be linked in all future videos, but I'll also include all of the materials listed in the description as well, if you just like to figure that out really quickly. As per usual, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments section down below. I'm here and happy to help. Also, if you'd like some help with the drawing process, I do have the traceable up over on Patreon, just to kind of speed that along. And for those of you who are new, Patreon is still a great way to kind of support the channel, say thank you. Also a great way to get plenty of bonus rewards, like a back catalog of over 50 hour-long lessons. You can see some of those right there. I also have all 5 of my ebooks up there right now at the Alpine level. So if you're new to acrylic painting and you just like to learn everything you can as quickly as you can, there is my book, Acrylics for Beginners. In it, we talk about how to blend our paint, how to mix, what brushes to use, how to make three-dimensional subjects, how to create compositions, really everything you need to know. There are also books with plenty of traceables and other fun things. But anyways, with all of that said, again, if you'd like a little bit of help, just leave me a comment in the comment section down below. I am here and happy to just talk you through things. With that said, let's actually jump into it, enjoy the first video in the new series, and hope it goes well, because whatever it is, I have to upload it. Before we begin, I would like to note the pigments we're using, and that starts with a primary red, a brilliant purple, light blue permanent, primary blue, primary yellow, titanium white, and Mars black. If you don't have a light blue permanent, you can mix one quite easily with primary blue and titanium white, and if you don't have a brilliant purple, you can mix one of those with primary red, primary blue, and titanium white. With that, let's jump into it. I'm going to begin by taking some water, adding it to the tip of my brush, grabbing some titanium white, moving that to a clean spot on my palette, grabbing about an equal mixture of primary red, and then I'm going to mix these two up until I get a nice pink pigment. From there, I'll take that and I'll apply it just to the horizon of my sky right above my mountains. And you can see when I try to kind of spread it out, it gets a little bit thin and you can kind of see the black through it. So try to not apply too much pressure or move the paint around too much. Keep it relatively consistent. Then I just start to blend it upwards. As you can see, like this. As I blend, it'll dissipate because we'll start to run out of paint, and that's okay. If you want a less streaky look, try to use less pressure with your brush as well. Now I'm going to go back to my water, wipe off some of that excess paint, grab some of my purple here, a hint of blue, and a good bit of Mars black. This will make the pigment a little more blue, a little bit darker, maybe even slightly desaturated. And this will be great for the top of our sky. There we go. Now we have a gradient, so it looks like the light is being emitted from the bottom. And I'm just going in between my two pigments back and forth quite softly with my brush, that way again I don't get too many streaky strokes. There we go. Going to take that paint off my brush. Going to switch to my older square-headed brush here. Going to grab a little bit of my light blue permanent, a little bit of my primary blue, mix those two together. And I'll start adding some stars in the sky here by just tapping them on ever so gently. I'm going to rotate my brush slightly. That way they're changing and evolving. I'll get a little bit more of my primary blue, work that out on the edges. I'm going to add the primary blue on the edges because it's a little bit darker and it's a little bit more rich in color. We can even work this down into the pink a little bit. Speaking of the pink, I will grab a hint of that and work it up here too. Just give the stars, the light up here, a little bit of diversity, make it a little more interesting. And we can just add that throughout, make each area feel cohesive, as if it exists in that same world. And that's a really nice start. So now, I'll switch to my medium-sized flat-headed brush, make sure that's nice and damp. I'll mix a little bit of blue in with the gray that we had for the top of the sky. And I'll just line our mountains with this quite simply. I might pick up a little bit of that pink in the process, but that is okay. It'll look quite nice with the mixture, and it'll make it look cohesive too. Because that pink light will be moving down into our mountains. There we are. Great. Now we'll move on to the foreground here, and for that, I'm going to mix up some green. So I'll take some of my primary yellow, about half that of primary blue, mix those two together. You can see we get this nice lush green. Come in here and I'll just tap on all of these little implications of foliage, as you can see, like that. If you hear something strange in the background, Howie is currently climbing onto the piano. It's a very funny cat. I'm going to take some more green, apply that to this next row here, and we will soon fill this with really beautiful flowers. I'm starting on the left-hand side, and then I just kind of allow my paint to dissipate as we move towards the right. That way it looks like it gets darker, the light only hits the top, and it looks three-dimensional. When you want to make something look three-dimensional, just wrap the light around your subject. Make one side brighter, one side darker. Here you can see it's also getting a little bit darker in the background just because we can't see detail that far away. And I might even do a little bit of a stroke in the background rather than a tap to get a little bit of a blending action going on. Here I'm mixing up a bit more green. Come into the top, work our way into the background, and then slowly come down with it. See, that's working really well. Now as we get farther away here, over to the left, each of these lanes is going to look smaller and smaller because it's getting farther and farther away, and perspective is going to make it appear smaller, as is the distance in between each row. So here you can see we started to amalgamate them about halfway through, and up at the top it's essentially just going to be a full application here of that green. But I'm going to again be a little bit more soft with my brush. I'm doing some blends. That way we don't have all of that intricate detail in the background because we wouldn't actually be able to see it. So it'll look more natural if we're just more soft with our brush. There we go. You can go back in, add extra highlights should you want to. Now I'm going to take my smaller, little square-headed brush, going to make sure that it's nice and damp. Going to get some of my light blue permanent, a little bit of my primary blue, hint of my titanium white, mix up a nice bright blue, quite rich. And I'll just start to tap on a couple little petals. I'm rotating my brush each time to get a different petal. And I know I am not speaking as well as I generally do in the hour-long lessons, but I haven't done a 10-minute painting in a while, and it's kind of exciting, a little stressful. It's a lot of really fun things. But I do apologize if my words aren't as concise as they generally are. We will get back into the swing of things. Here you can see I'm just kind of jumping around from different area to area. There we go. And I'm not trying to push my paint too far. If I start to run out, I do go back to my palette and I grab some more. There we go. Trying to make my petals a little bit different each time. And now as I get closer to the background, I'll make them significantly smaller, because again, perspective is going to do that. There we go. Letting the paint run out on my brush as I get farther back, so it's more transparent, looks farther away, less noticeable, everything we want it to be. You know, for a first 10-minute painting back, this is going really well. Quite happy here. Missed the series. Just needed a little break to get some new ideas. Now that I have some, I think we can have a lot of fun again. We're slowly, or rather quickly I suppose, working our way up to 100. I think this is our 93rd, maybe 94th. There we go. Now, let's switch our color. Going to grab some of my primary red, mix that in with my titanium white, create a really nice pink to match the color in the sky. Blue and pink always look so nice together. There we go. Trying to move them at the tops of these bushes, at the bottom. Occasionally I'm pressing harder with my brush, which is going to make a larger stroke, because the bristles will expand and I'll get a slightly different petal. But in the background here, I just want the corner of the brush to touch it, because if we applied a lot of pressure, we get something that looks significantly larger and unnatural. So here I just want plenty of really small strokes. There we go. We'll go back into this area too with a little bit of blue. You can kind of just go back and forth between the two until you get the balance that you really want. But I think we're just about at that 10-minute point. So I'll do a couple more strokes. And you know what? I think there we will call it. So there we have it. That is my first attempt at a 10-minute painting coming back. I'm definitely a little bit rusty, but you know what? I think it still turned out really well. It's this nice subtle piece. It's very much a calm evening, but I'm thinking now with this series, I'd like to do a little bit more. Because I have to upload them, I feel like I need a chance to redeem myself should it kind of go astray. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to add 10-15 minutes and I'm going to see what I can do in under half an hour. I'll include a little speed video of that while I'm talking right now, but I think I'll upload the entirety of it over on Patreon as a thank you to those who do, again, support the channel. And I think this is a really fun way that we get to see a 10-minute version of a painting. We get to see a version that's kind of under half an hour, and you know, you get some extra ideas, some extra little lessons in there, and you know, we get to really say thank you to the people who make this channel happen. There we have it. That is our final version. It is under half an hour, I believe, and I'm really pleased with how we we took something that I think was a really good start and turned it into a real full-fledged painting. I'm very pleased with the end result here, and I think this is a fun new way to kind of add to the series. So I really hope you enjoyed. I hope you had just as much fun as I did. Again, if you have any questions, leave them down in the comments. I'm here and happy to help. And if you'd like to get the full-length version of this, you can get that over on Patreon, along with the traceable, the ebooks, the Facebook group, the bonus lessons, all of that fun stuff. It is up there. I will see you next week with a brand new lesson, and I thank you very much for your time here today. This is a pleasure, and I look forward to doing it again. So, above all, as always, stay creative.
Hello, my name is Howie, and despite my owning this apartment outright, it is mine! There is still a room I am not allowed to enter. The room has the best of things. A bed, another bed, another bed, another bed. Like I said, the best things. So, for the last 72 hours, I've been planning my valiant break-in.